Eric Estep here. One of my favorite parts of being a NASCAR fan is collecting diecasts. It's how I got my start on YouTube, actually. To me, a room is not complete until it features shelves of NASCAR diecast cars. It's as good a time as ever to continue your collection or begin an all-new one by pre-ordering your favorite driver's 2022 next-gen diecast at LionelRacing.com or at any authorized Lionel retailer. Lionel is the official diecast of NASCAR, and don't miss Lionel Racing's NASCAR Authentics diecasts at a Walmart or Target near you. Not only is Lionel the official diecast of NASCAR, but they're also official supporters of the Out of the Groove podcast network. So what are you waiting for? Head to LionelRacing.com to order your favorite driver's 2022 diecast.
You're listening to Made in Local Cross, presented by Christine Auction. I'm Thad Moffitt.
And I'm Rowland.
And it's been a while since you guys heard from us, so we got a lot to talk to you about today. What are we going to start with, Rowland?
Well, that's an understatement. We are so excited to be back with everybody. So thanks for tuning in. Dude, it's been quite the off season. You got something to share with us finally?
Yeah. So the news came out, really excited about this opportunity with Nitro Motorsports to join Toyota and be quasi-teammates with the Venturini cars and have all of the support that they have in the ARCA series for a full schedule next year. So I'll get to do some races and some tracks that I've never done. Excited about going to Lime Rock and Watkins Glen with the ARCA car. Those are two places where I have raced, and looking at those races, and then some new stuff like the dirt tracks. I've never run the mile dirt tracks, in the ARCA cars. And so I get to experience a lot this year, and paired with my ARCA schedule, I'll be running the Trans Am races at Lime Rock and Watkins Glen as well. And then I'll be doing some weekly show stuff with the Toyota guys out at Millbridge in the sprint cars. So full slate of racing going into 2025. And I couldn't be more happy about the opportunity to be partnered with these guys in Nitro Motorsports. Really, really good group of guys.
All right. Well, how did this come about? So, we left the truck series at Phoenix, and then to tell the folks at home, what this is kind of cool from a racing perspective. We did it somewhat last year. Off season, you're looking for new opportunities. Why ARCA?
Yeah. So I just feel like this was the best opportunity for me to go be competitive and compete for wins. With everything that was brought to this program, we'll have sim through Toyota. I get to go to TPC and work out with the trainer and get meal prep stuff and just everything that all of these other teams, all of the other Toyota teams and some Chevrolet teams and some Ford teams have through the manufacturer. The biggest thing is just the manufacturer support, the engineers on site, the sim time, everything that you get to translate to the car is going to be really, really big for this program. And I felt like it was the best opportunity for me to win races. But like you said, just kind of came about. We were shopping around, seeing what we wanted to do for 2025 and what would be the best fit for our partners, of course, and then what would be the best fit for me. And we had some opportunities to go back into the truck stuff, and we even looked at some Xfinity stuff, and this one just made the most sense. And I think it was just the best opportunity with Nick starting this deal, Nitro, and him going from Trans Am stuff. I kind of knew him from that, but I didn't really know him that well. And then getting to work with him over the past 3 or 4 weeks or so, I've gotten to learn a lot about him and really enjoy his presence and the leadership that he brings to our team.
Yeah. Well, and that's Nick Tucker he's talking about, folks. So we'll have to get Nick on the show at some point in time in the future. But correct me if I'm wrong, Nitro Motorsports, of course, now they're into ARCA, but they started out as a Trans Am TA racing series team.
Yeah,
correct?
So they raced go-kart stuff originally. It started as like a go-kart team, and then they moved over into the Trans Am stuff probably about 4 years ago. And then this year they acquired some cars from Venturini and kind of built an alliance with those guys. And they've been able to build us into a 2-car ARCA team and an Xfinity team. They're responsible for the Cope Xfinity cars. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of good, exciting things going on in Nitro's world. And I'm just glad to be a little part of it and hopefully bring some wins and hang some banners in the building.
Heck yeah. Yeah. What I will say is, to your point of looking at options during the off season. So I've come to understand a lot of things in the little racing world that we're in. To give some clarity to listeners out there of like, okay, why ARCA, right? Dude, you made a great point. We want to do best by not just our fans, but our partners. Our partners are what allows us to do what we do, allows you to do what you do. We felt that this was the best case scenario, the most competitive option. Because I know when it was announced this week, there are some people that said, oh, not trucks, no Xfinity ride. There comes a point where you have a budget and you got to work within that budget. And it's either taking that budget you have and running at a, not really competitive team, whether it's truck or Xfinity, or you take that budget and go to the very best opportunity you got, the most competitive advantage with a manufacturer that is supporting this team. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit of why you did what you did, because I know there were some comments saying, oh, why are we going ARCA racing? Shouldn't we be moving up to Xfinity? I think it was a very wise decision. And from what you have shared with me, which I'm going to let you talk more about your first impressions on, let's say, day one at Nitro when Toyota, I can just hear it in your voice, the energy you tell me about. Just it's black and white from what it was last year. So tell me about first day at Nitro, right? You sign the contract, you get your seat there. What's the experience like versus last year with manufacturer support?
Yeah, it's just very welcoming. I can definitely feel the support already from Toyota. I've already got to visit their facility there in Mooresville, and then I've already got the sim schedule. So I'm like way ahead of schedule from what I was last year overall on pretty much everything working with the manufacturer, but they really have taken me in and have built schedules for me and want me to become a better race car driver. I feel as if they care to see my progress throughout the year and to see my progress throughout my entire career, really. And so it's really comforting having that there and having all the resources there. Like I was talking about earlier, we have the gym and the nutritionist and the doctor and the physical therapist and the sim and the heat room and all these wonderful things that all these other kids have gotten to use. And now I'm finally getting to use them. And I think that it will really help me progress this year and continue to get better each and every week, and building this program kind of from the ground up. I know that Nick has a long racing background, and my crew chief and our competition director, Shannon Rush, and my ex-crew chief, Jeff McClure, is also crew chief in the other car, and I worked with him 4 or 5 years ago. So, yeah, just the team camaraderie is there. It's a very veteran group. Of course, we have a handful of new people that we've hired from UNOH and just varying places, but they've caught on very quickly, and the leadership, I think, is the main thing. We have a very veteran group that knows what they want when they unload and knows what they want in the shop, and are very good at giving direction even to myself as the driver, being a new guy on the scene, just kind of getting in the car and having a plan of what we want to do, even at the test this past week. And having the teammates to work with at the test was also very, very good.
So, anyone who's followed your career, the big first step in the top echelon of racing was ARCA, and you were very successful in ARCA. How's it feel coming back? Are there any former competitors that you saw down at Daytona? And, what's it like strapped back into a race car versus a truck?
Yeah, it's kind of like going back home, man. I mean, I was there for, 3 or 4 years in the ARCA series, and you're right, we were very successful. And I kind of almost don't even view it as a step back, even though a lot of people would, like a good to your point earlier, like, man, you were in the truck and running what we ran like 25th to whole year, right? And then so I take a step back, but competition wise, I take a huge step forward to be in the top 5 and competing for wins. And showing speed right off the trailer like we did at Daytona at the test this past week. I mean, it's just something that I was accustomed to in the ARCA stuff prior to this, and even the Trans Am stuff, and then going to the trucks. And just to touch on your point again with the budget stuff, I mean, we could have possibly run like partial schedules in Xfinity or in trucks in maybe a little bit more competitive ride. But for me, I felt like running for the championship in ARCA and competing for wins would be better for me right now, racing as much as possible versus running like 8 races in the truck stuff or the Xfinity stuff. I feel like running the full 20 races and getting in with Toyota and doing everything that I need to do from my perspective to become a better race car driver, I felt like it was kind of the biggest thing for me. So, yeah, I think just getting back in the garage and seeing a bunch of familiar faces and kind of feeling at home, I just jumped right back into it, and we were really fast. And I mean, it felt good to see your name at the top of the speed charts again, like it was a couple of years ago.
Heck yeah.
We were being top of the board like 3 or 4 separate times throughout the test. We got bumped down as people would draft, but yeah, it was nice to see Thad Moffitt back up top of the board. So.
What is it about Daytona? I got to ask, because I mean, unfortunately, we only got to see you at Daytona, the only super speedway track you went to last year. You seem to know your way around that place. You qualified really well for the Truck Series opener at Daytona last year. Were collected in that unfortunate accident way early on, because I think you really would have shown a lot of people what you're all about.
Yeah.
But what's it about Daytona? Like, why do you think you're so fast there?
I don't know, man. I mean, the team obviously brings fast race cars, and that makes my job a lot easier. But just growing up there and watching and talking to Grandpa about how they can manipulate the air, and talking to other guys and kind of working on, it's kind of a combination of what he used to do and what they do now, because the cars are so much different. And just really the biggest thing is just understanding what the air is doing, because anybody can kind of go out there and run wide open. But if you can't like guess what the air is going to do, or hide your right side spoiler, or do the things that you need to do to be fast there, then you're just going to struggle. So I guess I just picked it up pretty quick from watching and growing up there at Daytona Speedway, and just, yeah, it came natural. Very first time I was there, we sat outside front row. And that was a big accomplishment for me at the time. I really wanted the pole, and we were on the pole for a while. And then the 15, Christian Eckes at the time, knocked us off the pole. And day went from bad to worse whenever we got the race started. The winning net fell. And so kind of feel like Daytona owes me one at this point. So
I would agree with you. I think there's good things ahead.
Yeah, so hopefully we can go into 2025 and just be ultra competitive. And winning races would be awesome this year, and that's the goal, obviously. But getting off on the right foot and being competitive, and the first 3 tracks I feel very, very confident in. I ran very well for David Gilliland back in 21 at Phoenix in the ARCA car. Then Talladega and Daytona, like you said, I've just kind of always felt comfortable and in control at those places. Obviously, a lot of it's out of your control when you're running 190 miles an hour in the draft, but I feel like I've been able to position myself pretty well in the past.
So let's do some predictions here. There's some big names coming in to ARCA Menard Series full-time this year. You got Lawless Allen, Butterbeans coming on board, LeVar Scott, teammate Amber Balkan. Who do you think is your biggest competition for this year?
I would say probably Lawless has a lot of experience, and Brennan Queen will be really good. Connor Zilich drove that car last year, and I think won all but like 2 races that he ran that car. So the car is really good. Shane Huffman's a great crew chief. I think that they're going to be really fast and really competitive. And then also the 18 car, I know it's a mix of drivers, but Joe Gibbs' stuff is fast in every single series. And so whether William Sawalich is driving it, or Brent Cruz is driving it, or Max Reeves or Gio, it doesn't matter who's in it. I think that the 18 car will be hard to beat, but I think that we've got something for them this year. In the past, I've felt kind of like maybe like a step behind or a half step behind, but I feel like going into this year, that we can run with them. You know, at the test, I felt like we were as good, if not better, than the Gibbs cars. And so moving forward, I'd like to see what our mile and a half program looks like in our short track program and kind of where we stack up against those guys. But with all the experience that Nick and Shannon and Jeff and all the guys from Toyota have in this series with these cars, I feel like we'll be right there ultra competitive with them.
Exciting stuff. So stay tuned for that, guys and gals. Really exciting stuff. Thanks for sticking on board with us. It's been a while since we made any announcements, but glad we're doing this with Nick and Nitro Motorsports. And one of the cool aspects is you get to keep that awesome 46 number. So kudos to you for continuing that deal.
We'll be right back. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Pristine Auction is the most trusted sports memorabilia and collectibles auction site. Auctions on pristineauction.com start at just $1. And each day, thousands of signed items are available. So you win signed, authentic items at affordable prices. Every item on pristineauction.com comes with a certificate of authenticity from the industry's most reputable authenticators.
PristineAuction.com is your one-stop shop for all authentic signed die-cast, helmets, trading cards, photos, and so much more of your favorite drivers.
Okay, Thad, it's that time to check out what our friends at Pristine Auction have on their amazing site. I'll kick things off. And I will say, to start off, I was bidding on a 1959 inaugural Daytona 500 ticket, and I need to put a notification or something on my phone because I placed a bid and forgot that the auction was ending, and I missed out. So shame on me, but I should really know my platform better. But I'm not going to let this one get away. Check this out. This is a signed, authenticated GM Goodwrench white baseball hat signed by the Intimidator himself, Dale Earnhardt Sr., and it's got a certificate of authenticity and all that good stuff. So right now it's sitting at $50, which is a hell of a price for a hat signed by the man in black. So I'm going to try my luck and put a bid in. So what you got?
Man, there's this really cool looking helmet that has a lot of my childhood heroes on it. So I think this is going to get my bid. It's got Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson, just to name a few of the 42 drivers on this Sprint Cup Series helmet. So, yeah, this is probably going to get my bid.
Upgrade your collection today and get $10 off your first win using registration code THAD. Again, that's registration code THAD for $10 off your first order. Links are in the show notes.
Oh my God, this is so good. What are you eating? Some tasty duck, Thad. What do you think?
Some of America's tastiest duck.
That's right. So for our friends at Joe Jurgowitz & Son, raising America's tastiest duck is the family business. As a fourth-generation family-owned company, Joe Jurgowitz & Son is proud to sponsor Thad Moffitt and the number 46 truck and proud to offer our podcast listeners 20% off at tastyduck.com. So visit tastyduck.com to shop Joe Jurgowitz & Son's delicious range of whole ducks, duck parts, and more. At checkout, enter the code THAD in all caps for 20% off. Again, go to tastyduck.com, enter THAD to get America's tastiest duck delivered to your door for how much off, Thad? 20% off. 20% off, baby. Visit tastyduck.com and make sure you keep on quacking. Quack, quack. BASF Automotive Refinish Coatings offer a complete coating solution and have been improving this offering for over 150 years. In addition to providing solutions to collision centers around the globe, BASF also partners with the best builders in the industry, like Petty's Garage, to provide them with custom color solutions to make their visions a reality. Builders across the country give their creations the finishes they deserve with BASF award-winning coatings. For more information on BASF Automotive Refinish Coatings, visit their social media pages or basfrefinish.com. Well, let's talk about the off season. So, all this excitement leading up to the Daytona test that you completed this week. Last time we talked to everybody was just before the holidays. So how was that for you?
Yeah, dude, the holidays were great. New Year was great. We went to Pigeon Forge, the Myrtle Beach of the mountains is what they call it. And it was fun, man. I'd never been up there. It was a little bit different than I expected it to be, but we had a lot of fun and went to some dinner shows and checked everything out up there and rode go-karts and just spent time with family. Of course, we had our big Petty family Christmas like we always have, and then the Moffitt family Christmas and the Welburn family Christmas. So I was running all around like a chicken with my head cut off for a week there, just eating all kinds of stuff. But it was fun. The holiday season's always fun, and to relax a little bit and kind of not have anything to do, like as far as a schedule, is really nice. And yeah, I enjoyed it. What about you? Was your New Year's and everything good?
Yeah, it was pretty good. We are very much into the homesteading trend, but I don't really like that. But very much into trying to create things at home with what you got, and big into the bread making process. Did a sourdough starter. It's still being fed, so I'll be sending you guys some sourdough bread in the very near future here. But no, pretty quiet. I like quiet. I don't really like traveling too much, but nice. Ready to rock and roll this year. We had discussed, I believe, in a episode far, far away, what you get someone like the King, Richard Petty, for Christmas. And we discussed that I think it was last year we discussed that. What do you get something for your fiance, soon-to-be wife, this year? What you get her?
What did I get her?
Yeah.
I did her a bunch of clothes that she wanted, but I kind of secretly did it. So like Santa came and visited my house. So while she was asleep, I laid out presents for like her and the dog, and then one for myself. And then when we woke up, it was like Santa came. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And I'd never got to do that. I think this was my first Christmas in my house. So
no way, really? Cool. Very cool. Well, yeah, I think you're getting married later this year. So exciting stuff about that.
Yeah.
The last Christmas, Lauren gets to be Lauren Welburn instead of Lauren Moffitt. So I hope she enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was tough to pick a date, man, when you're racing all year and with this Nitro deal. I'll be really busy, between the Trans Am stuff and the dirt stuff and the ARCA stuff. It's tough to pick a date. And then the schedule came out, and I was like, well, there's a weekend in September, but then I race Bristol the next Thursday. So like, we can't go anywhere after we get married. So we're going to get married, and then we'll go to Bristol Motor Speedway for our honeymoon.
That sounds amazing for any race fan, right?
Yeah, that sounds great to me,
Not so much for Lauren, but well, cool. Yeah, that's exciting stuff. You got a big year ahead of you, man. So looking forward to seeing what the Lord has in plan for you.
Yeah, it happens for a reason. So I think we ended up where we were supposed to with Nick and with these guys, and like I said, like at the test, man, I just had so much fun working with those guys and working with my teammates and Amber and Jake and Lawless and Isabella and everybody that was in Toyotas was like all on the same page. It was really nice to have that kind of like camaraderie as an organization, and to have the leadership up on top of the trailer and up on top of the box telling us what to do and telling the guys what to do, and they would just knock it out. Yeah, it was really nice and professional, and I'm excited about it. Another really cool thing about the test was we had Helio Castroneves there testing with us,
I saw that. And you had Cletus McFarland. Did you get to see any of them?
And he was there with his driver coach, Greg Biffle.
Greg was there?
Greg Biffle was in a driver's meeting.
Oh, my God.
And I thought that was really neat, man, to have that stature of drivers there at the ARCA test. And you see more and more people starting to use the ARCA Menard series as like a gateway. Marco Andretti came through there. Mm-hmm. SVG came through there and ran a handful of races before his Xfinity stuff. And now you got Helio doing it before he does the 500. So, yeah, I got to actually run in the draft with Helio. And, man, that was really cool. Like, I never would have guessed that I'd be racing or drafting with Helio Castroneves, and sure enough, I was. And yeah, that was neat. It was cool to have him.
You didn't get to interact with him though, right? It was just on the racetrack.
Yeah, it was on the racetrack. I didn't
Okay.
never really talk to him because he was busy doing his deal.
Sure.
He was a Chevrolet team, and I was on the other side of the garage with the Toyota guys doing my deal, And so, yeah, you're busy enough at the racetrack as it is, and especially at those tests when you're coming up with plans and how you're going to work with who and what they're going to change. And so, yeah, it was cool to have those kind of guys and that stature of guys there working with us. And there was like 70 some drivers, dude.
There was a lot of drivers down there, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. I would have loved to see it broadcast, on YouTube somewhere. It's a shame that it wasn't, because I heard there was an incident with your teammate.
Yeah.
But they didn't really go into how serious or not serious it was. Can you shed light into that? Was there?
Yeah.
How bad was that incident?
Yeah. So it was like, I was actually really lucky. So it was one of the times that we had all went out to draft, and my radio had went out. So I kind of missed the draft, but I went a couple laps later and I got to tag on to the back, probably like 10, 15 car lengths back of the draft. And I tagged on in 3 and 4. And when we got to the backstretch, the 70 and the 15 got into each other, getting off the racetrack, and it caused a big accordion effect. And that's when Helio was right in front of us. And I think he got some nose damage, and maybe the 28 got some nose damage, but the 15 and the 70 got some really, really heavy damage, on the front and rear end. So, unfortunately, we'll have to fix those cars up before we go back to get 2 of my Toyota teammates back up and running for the Daytona race. But luckily, the cars were fast, and that was the main thing. I think that's
all that matters.
Yeah, they can massage on them and put a new nose and a new bumper on the cars. But, of course, they don't want to do that kind of stuff when you only have a month to work on it. But, yeah, they can do all that kind of stuff, and the cars were fast. So that will be good. Be good going back down there with 6 Toyotas. I think we're going to have 6 or 7 together.
I'm pumped, man. Going back to the drivers, so Cletus McFarland, besides racing, I love automotive content. It's kind of my thing, working at Pitty's Garage, dream job. But Cletus McFarland, if you're into the automotive space, you know who that is. His real name's Garrett Mitchell. That was cool.
Yeah, that got me. I was looking at his speech.
Yeah. Garrett Mitchell, yeah. He wins Fire Suit of the Year, though. Did you see his fire suit?
His fire suit was cool.
It was, from my marketing background in racing, one of the cool things, which we'll touch on in a minute, but like your Darlington fire suit, I love when drivers and teams are creative with the fire suit. And it's a lot to do with the driver a lot of times, because, they get creative control for those things. So when I saw that he was wearing pretty much overalls or coveralls, whatever you want to call them, and then he had it wasn't quite a John Deere hat, but it was like his brand, but in the John Green colors, green and yellow. He looked like a farmer getting into a stock car.
And he's actually like a really tall guy. Like when I saw him in the drive.
Yes. Very tall.
I was like, man, how's he going to fit in that race car? But he did, So
yeah,
it was cool to out there with him too.
It's going to be really cool. Yeah, I see that as the future, man. Like, I think a lot of these content creators, you might even see a Whistling Diesel, whether that's a good thing or bad thing, making these steps to try to get into racing. Our buddy Mitch Stapleton, who's got Stapleton 42 YouTube channel, I know he's getting into it. So you might see him. I know his dream is to run a NASCAR truck race. So it's neat to see that organic pathway come about because of the power of YouTube and other video sources. So exciting to see that. But going back to, we're kind of shifting gears. I'm scatterbrained a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna say this on the podcast for the fans that are listening. We love you all. There are some messages I've received though that are somewhat discouraging. The Darlington diecast, the Petty 75 Darlington truck diecast, folks, they're coming. We just have to exercise some patience. Those things are out of our control. So, we fielded quite a few emails saying that, the die casts are never going to show up, or, these things were never produced to begin with. Just as a quick overview of how a NASCAR diecast is produced. A NASCAR diecast is produced when a team or driver wants to produce it with a sponsor. They get the initial design approved by NASCAR before it goes on track. From there, we submit it to Lionel Racing. Lionel Racing then approves it and gets all permission from it's not just a get it approved and we're done. Once it's approved by all parties involved, it goes to China, overseas, where their factory's at. It takes at least 6 months to produce these things. And keep in mind, it's not just Thad's diecast. There are dozens of other drivers and teams that have also placed orders. So it's unfortunate that the Christmas deadline was not upheld, but there was a lot of other diecasts along with Thad's that were not delivered on time. So the good news is I received a confirmation that those diecasts are out, have been built, and getting ready to ship February 6th, folks. So it'll be perfect in that when you're watching Daytona 500, you could have that beautiful Petty 75th anniversary truck in your fan room, your man cave, whatever it is, while you're watching the Great American Race. So thank you for the patience. Appreciate everyone who understands, kind of spreading the word. But there's been a lot of, outliers out there who are saying the car was never produced. Truck was produced. We're just waiting patiently for the mail to get them all out. So can't wait to see those, man. They're going to be really special.
Yeah, that was a good looking truck. That was probably,
yeah,
I'm partial to it, but that was probably my favorite paint scheme of the year I ran last year. Fire suit was cool. It was a good race for us, good finish. So yeah, and I'm sorry as well that you guys don't have your diecast yet. I promise you, there's nothing that I can do about it. Ask me, and like Rowland said, just to echo what he said, it's all Lionel handles it after we send the thing, and from there they produce it and ship it out to everyone who ordered it. So, it's really not our fault, I promise.
Well, we love you guys. So thank you for supporting that program. Just hang in there. They are on the way. I saw it on Lionel's website. They gave us confirmation. They're coming to us. So thank you for ordering those diecasts. And tell you what, when you get them, post a picture and tag Thad. All right?
Yeah.
Hashtag Petty75.
We'd like to see you with your diecast. Bring it to the track. I'll sign it if you see me at the track, or bring it to the Petty Museum. That's pretty much the only two options.
Heck yeah. So we got a lot of cool stuff on the way, folks. I hope we got some good guests coming on the podcast. Can you believe this has been officially a year we've done this podcast, man?
Hard to believe.
Time has flown.
Yeah. Time.
Maiden level cross. Happy birthday. So with that, do we have any parting words of wisdom, Mr. Thad?
Wear your gloves when it snows.
Wear your gloves when it snows. Yeah, we can talk about that really briefly. So at the time of this recording, North Carolina has experienced what many people think is a lot of snow, and I can assure you, as a Yankee, this is not a lot of snow. This is laughable. What it has taught me is how ill-prepared the South really is for weather of this sort. And I'm not blaming them. They shouldn't have to be prepared for this kind of stuff because it doesn't happen all the time. But that they've done a piss poor job with the roads around here. So I'm just saying, I don't know how you've done it all your life.
Or like you just said, if it happens once every 2 or 3 years, what are you going to just do?
I know, yeah. I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
So stay warm. Like Thad says, keep your gloves on. Invest in a snow shovel because it sounds like this is going to be happening more and more. Possibly. I don't know. But give our thoughts and prayers to the folks out in California experiences those fires. So keep them in your thoughts and prayers. But yeah, real exciting. Congratulations, my friend. You're going to do some big things this year in ARCA.
Absolutely. That's the plan. Thank you for listening to Maiden Level Cross. Be sure to like and follow us on your favorite streaming platform. And follow me on social media, Thad Moffitt 46.